What's up, dudes and dudes here, and my name is Ethan. We are back again from Trove. Now today we're actually going to be talking about not last week, but the week before that Trove developer live stream, because they ended up actually getting asked quite a few really cool questions. Unfortunately, I completely forgot to end up making a video on it, so we are going to have a video that's going to be highlighting the last week's dev live stream and the Q&A that they ended up kind of having with that, because there are going to end up being hints towards U10 and everything. But I felt that this one was important enough, and it's got a lot of questions, so I didn't really want to bombard you guys with another half-hour video. Instead, I'm just going to end up having them both separate. The other video is going to be sometime later in the week. So before we get started, be sure to hit that like button. Helps me out very much. Big shout out to Shiro Kiri for his efforts of actually summarizing all of the questions and answers from the dev live stream and everything like that. So there were 2 bonus maps on the test server for Bomber Royale that were being tested out, except nobody could actually test it because it was on the test server and nobody's actually playing Bomber Royale on it. I know. But unfortunately, those things have just been ripped out of the game. We're not going to see those coming out with the improvements update. The improvements update is coming out August 7th, by the way. I don't know if that mentions that in this live stream, though, because this most of all was talking about the improvements update just as PTS ended up going live, right? So anyways, could Vanguardian get more costumes? A excellent question, because if you compare some of the other characters in the game, like Merc was actually looking, Candy Bob's got like 16 costumes. Vanguard's got like, how many does he have? Like 5 or something? 1, 2, 3, 4, if you even count it. Those are just his normal default costumes. So let's just say, yeah, he's only got 4 costumes, and one of those is a divinity costume. So he technically only has 3 custom costumes, which is quite sad. Yes, I've also kind of swapped back over to the Shadow Hunter because I'm preemptively trying to get my hands used to this character again, because I love him when they end up doing the rework, because I'm hoping that it's going to end up being quite soon. So anyways, the developer's response is that, yes, we have a few in the works, and at least one Vanguard costume will be coming out with the next major Geode release, which is going to be the U10 update. 1 costume. Now, one thing that does hint, though, is that they say that there's going to be 1 costume for the Vanguard coming out with that update, which implies to me that we might see a costume for every class in the game that's going to be related to U10. That would be kind of cool, because one of the things that's very lacking in the recent updates is a lot of the mods and items that we end up seeing end up getting added to the game. Like take Geode, for example. We only saw a handful of classes end up getting some new costumes that weren't Geode themed in the least. They just kind of threw them in as an item that you could end up crafting. But seriously, dude, Vanguard's the most recent class in the game. It got added this year, and we haven't seen that much work put into it. We haven't seen any new fist styles, and we haven't seen any new costumes. Even the divinity costume was late to the punch of actually having the character punch his way into Trove. Like, seriously, I love the Vanguard. I want more content for him, man. Any plans on slowly incorporating Patron to Geode as some preliminary play Geode, or primarily, as people primarily play Geode, which nobody primarily plays Geode. The developers pretty much say that there's no plans right now to incorporate Patron into the Geode content. It's not ruled out for the future, which means that it is not going to end up being something that they work on. And if they do, it won't matter, because by then, like, everybody's already done with Geode. Fun fact, Geode is the only update with Trove where I've actually had some of you guys complain that you don't want to see any more Geode content. That's how boring it is. There's never been any complaints to any of the other stuff that I've had on the channel in regards to Trove. You guys always want to see more. But when it comes to that Geode stuff, I mean, I still got a couple videos that I'm working on that are related to Geode, but nobody wants to see it. So anyways, when will new auras be released that will use Prism of Light? So they say a new task was just added to add some of these auras. It will come alongside the combat update on Geode. So it's weird that they say the major update, the combat update, this, that, and the other thing. They should just say the U10 update, because that's what we're all calling it, right? That's pretty much what they're adding to it. So apparently they're going to have some auras that are going to be more in theme with U10 and everything, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully our Prisms of Light are actually going to end up being useful for it, though. Why can't we pick the white color name when the update hits? For the improvements update, you're going to be able to choose your name color based on you know, the colors that you actually have unlocked, which I find kind of strange because you can actually choose the white name color. Maybe they ended up removing it in one of the recent updates or something to the test server. I'm going to have to check that out. But they say that it was something that we gave the ability to pick from the colors you have earned as opposed to the default color. We'll look into adding white. The default color isn't white? Okay. When will the patch go live? They say that it's not announced yet, but it's going to be coming out August 7th. I really don't know why they wait so long to actually like announce release dates now. Like, it's ridiculous. We knew it was coming out in August, and now we know it's coming out on August 7th. They don't say it in this patch. Dev notes. They say it in next week's dev notes. Well, the next video that we're going to be covering, which was actually last week. I know it's kind of convoluted, but anyways, can we have more ways to obtain Binding Darkness? Good question. We'll look into it. Don't have an answer right now. Binding Darkness single-handedly is one of the most difficult resources to get in the game because it's completely random whether you're going to end up getting any in Shadow Towers. I just alone ended up farming like 3 hours of Shadow Towers today. Got 3 Binding Darkness. Yup. And I need rerollers, man. Like, seriously. When is the next costume sale? Will you bring back costume packs as well? So they don't have a date for this, but yes, they will bring back some of the costume packs. Cool. Hopefully for the Halloween event that they got coming around the corner, right? Will you ever change Adventurine from being able to be loot collected into Glimpse? So they say yes in the improvements update. I didn't even check what it's going to loot collect into. Will we ever get chocolate sponges? Yes, that's coming out with the improvements update as well. Is it possible to have more detailed audio settings? No plans for that right now, given our long list of features and requests. It's not near the top, which, I mean, all you really do in order to end up getting the best sound experience with Trove is just bring the volume all the way down to 0. When is the next event? They say that it's going to be coming in early August, so I don't think it's coming with the improvements update. Maybe we're going to have an event come out afterwards. Is there going to be a new rarity more powerful than Stellar? People are constantly asking this for some reason, and then they say, we'll have to see. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out. Yes. Yes. We know that there is going to end up being gear above Stellar. That's what they've talked about with the U10 update. Any new sinks for qubits, which... No, we don't need any sinks for qubits. I already ended up spending a whole bunch of them, but they say there's no plans right now. Thankfully, if you're worried about sinks, it's likely you aren't using regenerators as often as it seems to be the biggest sink. Yeah, they honestly don't really need a sink for qubits, man. Like, seriously, if you start spending your qubits towards some of the other items in the game, there is a reason to have them. I had 700,000 qubits. I spent like a whole bunch of them on dragon coins, but then again, that was kind of a exploit, if you want to call it that. Maybe just an oversight of the lore keeper dragon eggs, blah, blah, blah. You guys don't care. Are the 3K credit costume packs coming back? Yes, no date to give yet, though. Could you make it so using lodestars on gold and silver companion eggs prevent duplicates, which is great, but unfortunately they say that no, sorry. That would make lodestars crazy valuable. They're already worth about 300,000 flux on PC, which means that they're worth a lot more on consoles, devs. Like, come on. We have no plans to make eggs function as unlockers, even with lodestars right now. I don't know why. Like, I'm missing 2 rare pets that are rare companions. I'm never going to get them because I'm just going to keep getting dupes out of my bronze eggs. And I don't use lodestars because lodestars are useless because of the fact that they ended up making them not do that function. Like, I've used 50 lodestars on bronze eggs alone and I didn't get like anything. Not a single rare pet, man. Like, I got mine from like silver and gold eggs. It's ridiculous, the RNG that we've got on them, dude. I guess we could try to farm a gold egg in like the Geode caves, but that's too rare in and of itself. And then on top of it, you can get a duplicate. You shouldn't, because getting the gold eggs is difficult enough as it is. So what's the plans for the Ice Age rework? Do you plan to make it more hard hit? Yeah, so we'll talk about, we already kind of have a video coming that's going to be talking about that. We're going to have to talk about the class again when it ends up going live. But yes, they have actually done a pretty big rework to the Ice Age. To summarize, it's going to end up being DPS, as you would expect. It's not going to be a good tank anymore, but you are going to actually be a pretty heavy hitter, top tier for Shadow Towers at the least. Not really the fastest for U9 anymore. Still completely viable though, so those Ice Age mains out there, you can be excited. Assuming there will be more world boss like enemies in game, would you consider doing another round of create a Trove boss like a boss contests? So that was the Hydra boss that we ended up seeing in Shadow Towers when the Everdark update, or whatever that update was called, that ended up coming out last year, right? Where we ended up having the Shadow Towers kind of reworked. That Hydra boss was like years. It took years before it got added to the game, despite the fact that the contest was over and done with like a long time ago. And the majority of people ended up quitting that ended up actually voting on the Hydra boss in the first place. So anyways, they go on to say that they don't have any plans for it. If a lot of people post about sweet bosses, then maybe they could find a way to do them. I wouldn't hold your breath for it. Any plans to add Bomber Royale themed costumes for all costumes? Really nice idea, a nice plan for the future. Yes, they should definitely do that. Bomber Royale is something that they should really be focusing on right now. I think, generally, I think that one of the things that I really hope they end up doing after the U10 update, and maybe even in 2019, because they've got the U10 update, and then the last update of the year is going to be adding the new Titan bosses, obviously, right? So hopefully after that, they start focusing on refining some of the content that they've already got, because Bomber Royale is fantastic. The Vanguard is awesome. They just need to keep focusing on that. I think they should focus on the sub-biomes, because that was one of the most popular things that's going on in this game. More Rampage bosses would be great to go with those new sub-biomes. And then on top of that, start adding more classes, because those things bring a whole lot of life back into the game, dude. And even though U10 is kind of hype, honestly speaking, out of all the time that we've been waiting for it, and the fact that they're kind of overhyping it, I don't think it's going to end up being nearly as exciting as we're expecting it to be, just because of the fact that it's getting overhyped, you know? Like, it's like, you guys got to tell us about it, which apparently in the following weeks in August, they are going to actually talk about and show off U10 for us, so that's going to be exciting. Will you add a bootmobile mount? What does your ideal bootmobile look like? So that just means no. Someone's got to mod it in, like, and pretty much everything that's added to the game is mods. How big will the quality of life update be? It's going to be pretty small, honestly speaking. It's not as big as the Geode or the upcoming one for the surface of Geode, which is U10. They just keep calling it the surface. They're all staying in roleplay every time now. Can you please remove health regen from all permanent stat boosts that dragons give? No, health regen is one of the stats for some of the dragons. Pretty much meaning they don't want to go back into the code, because health regen doesn't actually do anything in this game. Eventually, they talked about, like, a couple years back, where they were going to end up replacing health, or rebuffing health regen to make it a useful stat. And they ended up making it so that we can't get it on our gems and everything like that anymore, which is good and bad at the same time, because, I mean, how long is it going to take before they end up actually buffing health regen, right? Has the Tomb Raider rework been discussed in the development? We're going through all the classes, yeah, obviously, which means that they're not actually working on the Tomb Raider just yet. Can you please talk about Astral Gear and U10 and how it will be worked into the game and what kind of power rank it will be based at? So people are starting to get a little bit frustrated, myself included, at the fact that they're kind of holding off a lot of the information. And one of the things that I don't know about you guys, but I'm very, very worried about in regards to U10 is I'm very worried that a lot of the content related to U10 is not going to be affected by the current content. So for example, let me tell you guys this. You should be saving all of your general gem boxes that you get from Primal Uber Worlds, and you should also be saving all of your empowered gem boxes, assuming that the U10 new gems coming out in the game are going to end up being affected by Primal gem boxes and empowered gem boxes. However, I wouldn't put it past them, because they're constantly obsessed with doing stuff like this, where they would end up just having a whole new type of elemental box specifically related to U10 and the Geode surface, so that we have to grind it from scratch, including empowered gem boxes. I would not put it past them that they're going to end up doing something like that, because I don't know why. This is just the feeling that I get. They get really, really salty when those of us that are at the end game and already pre-prepared end up blasting through all of the new content. I don't know why they think that's a bad thing, because it's not. If we could just use our empowered gem boxes and our primal gem boxes to get the new gems right away, then we would end up getting ourselves that much more powerful, so that we could go to U10 and get possibly astral level of gems, because they have said that they aren't going to end up increasing the power of the gems. But we don't know whether or not that means that astral gems won't be added to the game. Just maybe we'll be able to upgrade our gems to it. Maybe stellar gems are going to be the best gems that you can find out of boxes, and then you can upgrade to astral gems after, which means that we're going to have a big pool for a lot of resources that are probably going to be related to Geode and stuff like that. But anyways, guys, this is just me speculating. I'm just saying, hold on to your butts, because it's probably going to end up being kind of gross. So they, anyways, they say that they're still planning a lot of that stuff. They're not ready to talk about it yet. Name not confirmed, just used for the question. So either way, we got some cool stuff that they are going to be talking about later in August, so I'm really excited about it, despite the fact that I'm skeptical. Is there a reason that in Tier 5 Sunken Sun Vault, all the cave milk is replaced by lava? So the devs say that the hint is that it is in Tier 5. It's going to be more difficult and adds variety, avoiding lava and gas plants. That's how the Geode planet is. The vault goes deep enough that it hits the lava veins. I don't care about your roleplay, devs. I think that you guys don't seem to realize that we have like 300 health when we go into the Geode caves. So if you touch lava once, you're dead. It just makes it more annoying, not more fun. Can you make block crafting instant or quicker? So they say, are there specific blocks or just in general? We may consider recipes that create them en masse for simple blocks. I think get over yourselves, guys. They need to just get rid of crafting time in general. That's too old a system. Crafting time was in the game when there was not really that much content, because it was incentive for you to end up getting patron because it improves the crafting time. At this point, it's just an inconvenience that they don't really need. That's just my personal opinion towards it anyways. Can you please make it so we can craft Dragon Crucible to place it in our clubs? We'll look into it. Some old clubs do have them on PC only, guys, not on Xbox or PS4. Because what they ended up actually doing with the Dragon Crucible item is they ended up taking an old crafting table from Alpha and then just turning it into the Dragon Crucible. So they ended up replacing a crafting table rather than adding a new one to the game. And because of it, a lot of Alpha players ended up actually having Dragon Crucibles, because they ended up having this old crafting table that suddenly was the new crafting table, and thus we could end up trading for it on the market, which was really cool. I do think that we should be able to have it in our club worlds, though. Why does Zendry only give 1 stat and 50 magic finds? So they've actually fixed that. That's coming with the improvements update. That's the other adventurine dragon. Why is everything in the crystal bench so expensive to make? Math, in short, is their response, which I think is hilarious, because math, I'm sorry if you're watching this, developers, but the Tryon Worlds and the devs of this game have a reputation with the players of math not being their strong suit. Like, if we just take, for example, I'm going to have another video talking about this in more detail, but I just kind of, for fun, ended up crunching the numbers for the gem augmenters. And the fact that we don't have access to Bound Brilliance anymore. Essentially, with the improvements update, we're going to end up having access to roughly 20 to 25 Bound Brilliance a week based on your tomes. Well, just based on your tome and having 5,000 PR on all of the contest classes, right? Because you're going to get 20 out of the leaderboard. Let's just say that it's 20. I think it's something like, in order to max out one character, it's going to be like, if I'm not mistaken on my numbers, I'm probably forgetting, but I think it was like 87 weeks just to max out all of the stats on, you know, the gems of one class. And that's just assuming that all of those gem abilities are going to be at 50% at their base, and then you're buying the bronze, you know, the bronze items to end up improving upon, because otherwise you can't end up farming any gem dust to end up getting the silver ones. Like, they're just not cost effective enough. They're way too expensive considering the amount of gem dust you need. And the gold ones, I mean, forget about it. Those things suck, dude. Like, the bronze focus items are still the most cost efficient in terms of the resources, just because of the Hearts of Darkness being the only thing that you need. But either way, my point being is that it doesn't really seem to me like they take these things into account, not to mention all of the Geode stuff. Here's just kind of a rule of thumb that I do with the channel and have done just with everything in my life, is if a couple people complain about something, then that means that it's not a problem. If a lot of people are complaining about something, it means that even if I don't see a problem with it, it means that I got to look at it. So if a lot of you guys complain about one thing specific going on in my videos, Most notably, I've noticed a lot of you guys saying that you don't want to watch me do the Geode content anymore. Then it means that I gotta consider that, while moving forward, as opposed to the devs don't seem to take the criticism to heart, where nobody likes the balance of the Geode update. I myself am maxed out in all of the Geode stuff. Of course, pay to win, and I'm here to tell you that the Geode update itself, which of course is intentional, this is the real reason why they won't change any of it. It's not because of math, it's not because they calculated any of it, it's because the Geode update is the most expensive update to max out in the entirety of Trove. It's more expensive to max out all of your modules and get through all of the Geode update, including all the time-gated content, obviously speaking. It's more expensive financially, if you're a pay-to-win player, than it is to max out gems on one of your characters. Crazy, right? Like, seriously, none of the updates have been this expensive, but most of all, the biggest reason why I don't like it is because all the Geode update is mastery. It's just an over-glorified way of earning more mastery. Like, that's it. Nobody wants any of the mounts or anything. The companions are cool, don't get me wrong. They're awesome, but and the costumes themselves, but everything's way too expensive, dude. So anyways, they say that one thing to note is that with the August update, the Crystal Potion will affect Crystal Pinatas and Crystal Caches. We have talked about this briefly, but, to put it into perspective, it's not going to end up increasing the amount of crystals that you end up getting in terms of the rarity of them from the Pinatas. It just means that if the crystal caches drop crystals and you have a crystal potion active, you're going to get 50% more crystals. Only if they drop. It's not going to make them drop more often. Anyways, rant over. The Bomber Royale trophy is glitched for consoles still. Can you look into it? Yes, they're looking into it. Will you revert the club update to what it was before the Geode update so we can get our XP back until the fix for the missing club XP is done? So there's something supposed to be going on where they ended up upgrading the clubs and ended up lowering the total amount of experience that you needed to level up the clubs. And essentially we were all supposed to end up getting a whole big boost of XP because of it. And they haven't been able to figure that out. I honestly don't care, but it seems that quite a few people are actually upset about it. But they say that there isn't missing club experience. We did say that it was going to be retroactive. We're investigating it, but in all honesty, there is a good chance we are not going to be able to make it retroactive. Apologies, we are still looking into it, but there is a chance. So they just reiterate the same point. It's just not going to happen. Like, just get over it. Any plans for a crystal tome or another way to receive crystals? Nothing right now except for the note from earlier, so which is very unfortunate because that's the biggest thing about the Geode update is that crystals are extremely difficult to farm, and not in a good way either. Like, you just get such low amounts, not to mention all of the ways that you end up getting crystals are completely random. Too much of the game is being put in the direction of RNG, random number generation, but that's just kind of Trove. It's been like that for years, more so than not though. Lately it's been a bit much. Like, it really has been. It seems like what they're doing in order to end up making a lot of their content last longer is just making everything that they can be random number generation rather than actually giving us ways around that, which personally, I think they're going a little bit too far in that direction. Let me know what you guys think. So with U10 announced, is there any plans for making changes to allow newer players to catch up in the PR rank faster? Yes, there will be some slight catch-up mechanics. Combat on the surface of Geode, which is U10, is currently planned to start around U8. So you are, I don't understand why they necessarily say that there's going to be some light catch-up mechanics. Oh, I guess because you'd be able to go into U8 on the surface of Geode, and then essentially you would be able to end up getting the new gems, right? You would be able to get Radiant gems, and then you go to U9, you get Stellar gems, and then maybe in U10 we're going to end up having more chance of getting Stellar gems, and then again possibly end up leveling them up in some means. Is there a possibility of Club Wars, like a 1v1 Bomber Royale? No plans. We're experimenting with a few Bomber Royale things, but it's not club vs club. I wouldn't really want something like that. I do think that there should be private matches. I think that we should be able to, like this portal that you end up crafting in the club, we can always just access Bomber Royale through the normal menu in the bottom left anyways. So the one that you craft in a club, I think should be a private match with everybody that ends up entering the portal, so that we could all end up just playing games with our friends rather than just having to play in Publix, right? But anyways, that's just my 2 cents towards it. Again, I love Bomber Royale, and I really hope that they develop more for it and not like 5 months down the line. Any chance that more Geode or Crystology adventures will be added in the future? Yes, definitely a chance. I don't know whether they're just hinting at the U10 stuff or they're talking about more Geode stuff, which I would like to actually see Geode fleshed out a little bit more, because honestly speaking, you know, they say that it's a complete update. I don't really feel that the Geode update is complete. Like, it kind of feels like it just kind of falls off the wagon when you get to tiers 4 and 5, right? Will there be more Draco costumes? Yeah, probably. It depends on what the modders end up doing, but there's a 95% chance. Yes, so obviously they're going to end up adding more costumes in the future for all the other characters. Anyway, sorry this video was so long, guys. I know that I ended up going on a couple rants, but I like to take the opportunity in these videos to kind of talk about some of my own personal opinions towards some things, some speculation based on just my experiences with the developers and with the way that they end up developing the game. Now, I know that a lot of it is skeptical, and I don't know, it's just the more that I sit with them talking about all this stuff, I am getting more and more skeptical about what U10 is going to end up being like, and you know, kind of just trying to unhype myself about it, so that if it does come out and it's absolutely awesome, then that's great. But if it comes out and it's just the same old grinding that we've experienced thus far, then at least we'll kind of be prepared for that, rather than getting overly excited about something that's not going to end up being as epic as they planned, you know. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm still really excited about the new gear, potential new costumes, and just an overall end game to Trove. Hopefully that ends up being fully fleshed out and not just a bunch of more time-gated garbage, because lately they just absolutely love their time-gated content, and honestly there's just too much time-gated content for this game. I don't like the direction that they're moving in terms of making it time consuming to get to the end game, rather than something that is just very difficult to do because you have to commit a lot of hours to it. In this regard, you got to commit like a year of your life to it, but that's because of the fact that you got to wait for like so much of this stuff to end up finishing. It doesn't really promote you to actually grind and play this game, you know. Like, you're not really rewarded for your efforts of actually just grinding this game non-stop anymore, outside of potentially end up getting some better gems down the line, but the focus items are just kind of thrown out into the bus because of the Bound Brilliance, and you guys don't care. Thanks for watching, though. Very much appreciated. Don't forget to like, sub, and hit that notification bell, ding dong, so you can get notified when we end up putting up more videos. And then otherwise, I would appreciate it if you do want to support me. You can always sponsor the YouTube channel for a monthly fee. Check down below for my merch store so you can buy some stuff. Or if you don't have any money but you still want to support me, you can always check out the links to Gawkbox as well as Solidarity app. Check them out on your phone. It'll tell you download this phone game, play it for a little while. They'll give you free money that you can donate to yours truly. It takes a few minutes of your time, and it's really, really helpful to me. Thank you so much either way for watching, folks. Sign on and stay epic.